Okay, awesome. I think I'm ready to rock and roll here. Okay, I am recording. Lovely. Hello, everybody. It's me, Whimsy, and I'm just decided to do this with Zoom. So the reason why is because I'm very, very busy. So my apologies. I haven't been able to get online as much as I would like to. Anyway, I also want to say be sure and share, like, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, so that you can. Oh, try to get away from the sun. So that you can get the notifications. If you push the bell button, then you'll get notified when I am uploading a video. Also, I will not be doing the join uh, a private group right now. I just don't want to do that right now. But we do have an applause button. So if you like any of the teachings, if you like any of the remote viewings, you can always send me a few bucks for coffee, and I always appreciate that. But other than that, this channel will remain free. If people want to donate, they can, and if they don't want to, then likes, subscribes, watching the commercial is more than enough support, as far as I'm concerned. All right. The first remote viewing I want to talk about has to do with Donald Trump's mental state. There's a couple things that came up with his mental state. One is that I saw the GOP senators were afraid to confront him. There really isn't much you can do because his mental state is so fragile and he won't listen to anybody anyway. And so the only thing you're risking is that you're going to piss off some of his most strident supporters. So what I saw was that the senators would flee over Thanksgiving holiday and avoid confronting Donald Trump or the coronavirus, and I dated that on October 17th. So we're now on the 20th, and it looks like what happened was is that that's exactly what they're doing. They will abandon their post, excuse me. So this goes back to the remote that if you follow the energy of Mitch McConnell, because they've created a monster who's in a position of power that has to kill the beast, you guessed it, Mitch McConnell. So the only way that Mitch McConnell is going to be able to put a stop to this is he's got to start defunding and putting pressure on the Senate to say and do something. So the irony is the person that was greatly responsible for this problem has to take care of the problem. It's interesting that I keep going back to Lindsey Graham having the fatal conversation with Donald Trump. And I had assumed when I saw an expose on Lindsey Graham that it was going to be about, possibly being outed, LGBTQ or something like that. But it turns out that what he could be facing a Senate investigation on is election tampering and also threatening or pressuring people to change democratic elections. Very serious. And he could actually have to leave the Senate. So that might have been why a lot of readers also were seeing really bizarre things with Lindsey Graham. The horrible thing about Donald Trump's emotional state is this feeling that he has that everyone has betrayed him. Everyone has betrayed him. And now he's going to be in a situation where, because everyone betrayed him, he's now going to revenge the people that have betrayed him. So when he thinks about the people that have betrayed him, he thinks about the people that he helped, who he made rich, who were members of the Republican Party. So now he's at war with the Republicans, the people who he thinks he did good things for. And so he's going to engage in some kind of retaliation or attempt to retaliate against people he thinks he helped and now have turned their back on him. People had asked about Melania getting a divorce, etc., and how she had renegotiated her prenup. Her prenup. When I had done a remote on that a couple years ago, it looked like they were communicating through their lawyers. It was very bizarre about how many appearances she would have to make, etc., and all of that was worked out. People had joked that would Melania leave before the feds move in? Before the feds move in and take everything. That seems like the most logical conclusion. Also, when you go into the energy, it looks like Melania has her own separate money and bank account, etc. As we had said in previous remotes, when we go deep into the meditation, we always wind up in the same place. And that is that the criminal investigations, the documents found in Cohen's offices involved the signatures of the children, but specifically they involved Ivanka Trump. And this keeps coming back over and over and over again. So when we think about Donald Trump being in a mental state where he feels that everyone has betrayed him, it could likely include Ivanka Trump, because I keep going back to the signatures, the signatures, the signatures. Now, when you tune into the energy of Ivanka Trump intentionally defrauding people by what appears to have happened was that she overinflated items the feds were questioning. So you can't overinflate. You can't do that. There's a market. You can't. So she was overinflated, and then she just moved money. She was one of the people responsible for transferring money to Donald Trump's properties, et cetera, and offshore accounts. She had done that in the past, and that's why we kept going back to Michael Cohen and whether or not she would be one of the people to betray him. The more Republicans flee Donald Trump, the angrier he will become, and he could end up in handcuffs by the end of his term. Some of the people that I felt would be talking to him are like close friends. They're trying to get him to be reasonable. Geraldo Rivera, I did a meditation on him. They're using like fighter imagery. He was saying, sometimes you take a punch and you've got to admit that you lost the fight. But nothing is sinking with this president. He just doesn't believe it. Now, in terms of talking about Robert Mueller and Robert Mueller's criminal investigation, this is the next thing I want to talk about. Remember how Robert Mueller always says, sooner or later you're going to be mine, because I always get my man, talking about G-men in the FBI. Well, it looks like all the information and all the data that's been collected over time and all of the whistleblowers and everybody that's given testimony to ongoing criminal investigations, that's been passed on to the district's attorney's offices, and then they get to decide whether or not they want to, based on the FBI investigations, prosecute. So one of the people, Kamala Harris is one of the people that was very close to the FBI and was getting a lot of information in terms of what the FBI was doing in terms of following money, tax evasion. As I've always said, it's always been about following the money. So basically what happened is that Kamala Harris is now the vice president of the United States elect, which basically means that the information that Robert Mueller simply passes the ball on to Kamala Harris. So in that sense, he and his investigation are like the creature in the Terminator 2, where it's like Mercury. It dissolves and then it comes back and it comes after you. It dissolves. That is the FBI coming after Donald Trump. No matter how many times you shoot it, you kill it, it simply reconstitutes itself and comes back. And now it's coming back as the vice president-elect, Kamala Harris. So the next thing I want to talk about is the stolen election and whether or not the election was stolen. So I did a remote, and I wanted, without hurting security, to try and see if they could show me something about how the voting system works. And it was really kind of cool, because what I learned from this experience was that you really cannot hack or steal a president. You can't steal an election anymore. And the reason why is because what they showed me is that they encoded and encrypted every single vote. So when you register to vote, it's encrypted with a number, and the number will designate where you're encrypted to vote, who you are, and location, etc. So when you show up and sign in, even if you don't have your ID, the signature is there, and the signature is stored with with an encrypted number that is associated with your ballot. So when you go in and vote and push the lever, it's confirmed that you have in fact voted, and this is your encrypted number, and it's been recorded. So should you go and they say, well, the signatures didn't match or something like that, you can go in, they can upload it on the computer, turn it around, show it to you and say, is this how you voted? Here is your encrypted number. It matches your encrypted number. Do you want to change your vote? Did you see anything? Is there anything here that's wrong? And you can confirm it. So they'll never be able to go in and change because you will always have an encrypted ID. The only thing you could do is you could get, if it's a mail-in ballot, you could steal or throw them out or toss them out, but that still won't help you because those numbers have been encrypted. So if the encrypted code, the ballot with the encrypted code winds up at your address, and we know that it was sent and shipped and confirmed by the post office when it arrived, and we see that it was not received, we could call you and say, hey, did you mail in that ballot? Yes, I did. I mailed it on Tuesday. Well, it's missing. We can't locate it because we can't locate the number. So what seems to have happened is that there seems to be quite a bit of missing numbers in Florida, but I don't see if anybody was stealing actual ballots in large amounts or simply storing them in an area, which people were concerned about. That investigation will happen simply because, unbeknownst to the criminals, the type of encrypting going on makes it virtually impossible to steal the election. All right, I think that's everything just about. Oh, the last thing I want to say about Donald Trump, and this is the part that gets really scary, and it has to do with Roger Stone. And that is that this entire thing could be a marketing ploy created by a frustrated wannabe Broadway musical performer, writer, etc. Roger Stone likes to create things and cast things like Broadway musicals. And if I were to make this a Broadway musical, as I see it as Roger Stone, putting myself in Roger Stone's shoes, is that I would market the idea that Donald Trump is the true president. And then I would create a Trump TV and a Trump media around the true president in the Southern White House, which I would make in Florida, be Mar-a-Lago, and I would run my media empire out of the Southern White House. And devotees of the true president would be able to visit him at the Southern White House in Florida, and I would be able to market it with commercials, tag, various different types of marketing ploys to get people to spend money, advertise, etc. But where this starts to become dangerous is that if the militia, etc., pledge allegiance to this president of the South, that's at the point where it looks like civil war. And that is the point. If he were not to be arrested, that's what people get confused about. Well, what are you saying is going to happen? I'm saying I don't know what's going to happen because I don't predict the future. I'm saying that if Roger Stone got everything he wanted, that is how it would play itself out. But when you go into the energy of other people that are investigating the president, other causes are afoot. Other people have dreams and goals. So in modern Buddhism, we realize it's not just one person creating a cause. It's multiple people trying to do multiple things. And when you go into that energy and you see what they're trying to create, they could be thwarted because other people also are creating causes. Other people are trying to create things as well. All right. Is that all I have? The last thing is that the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be really, really hard in terms of the virus. We're nowhere near to public availability of the vaccines. Some healthcare workers are getting the vaccine already, but general public probably not for a while. So just know that the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be very, very difficult. Don't go out. Be very, very strict with your COVID protections. Also, make sure you've got plenty of food, water, etc., just in case the lines get to be a little bit crazy over the coming months with COVID. So now would be a great time to do an account and a reckoning of your pantry, your kitchen, be about your business, send love where you can, even to those you have strife with, and then make amends where you can, and then be about your business. Now is the time to hunker down. Winter is coming. And I can't stress enough how I want everybody to be ready, and contingency plans, et cetera, emergency phone numbers, et cetera, because these are hard times, and we all have to take care of ourselves. Love and light. If you're still trying to get in for a reading, you can go to tarotwithwhimsy.com, or if you need to see me as a doctor, you can go to drwhimsy.com. And again, be sure and share, like, subscribe, and push the bell notification if you want to be notified about future events. All right, take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.